Hi, everybody. This is Doc Martin, and this is the Healing Hour. And this is really a place where I want to hear from you because I think together we can shift some things that challenge us. I don't know about you, but I've been challenged in 2020 a lot, and I'm sure you have too. We don't have Dr. Pat with us today. She's taking the time off. And so I'll try to keep this going. Usually she's such a good partner. I can throw things at her and I always get back something wise and wonderful. So just a reminder, please, let's use this time. If I can help you with anything that ails you, call in 1-800-930-2819. So we're coming to the end of what has probably, at least in my lifetime, been the most difficult year. And years don't always change their energy just because it happens to be December 31st or January 1st. But I do think we are changing the energy because at the solstice, we're going to have some planetary configurations that are very new and very powerful. A conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. And I confess I am not an astrologer. So there are those of you who know this much better than I. But I think we're going to see a shift and we're going to start to be able to be expansive again. So I want to take a minute for us to really reflect. We have done a good job this year. We have held it together when the truth is it was really hard to do. I know that I found it challenging financially. I found it challenging from a health perspective because for me, having my family come, for example, for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners is a big deal. It's where I put on the spread, and that's not having that was very, very difficult at Thanksgiving. And I'm lucky enough that I live in rural Pennsylvania, so I have beauty all around me. And I've been able to get outside and I've been able to take walks around the lake with the dogs. And how about you? Thank goodness for our pets and our furry companions, or maybe those of you who have feathered companions. That's really, really helped to be able just to tune in, kind of bring myself to their level, get out of my head and all the worries of what's going on in the world. And, oh my gosh, this, oh my gosh, that. And they let me breathe. They let me just get down to something as good as a snooze on the couch. They remind me of the basics. And how many of you got a new pet this year? I understand that the adoption rate for dogs out of the different shelters all across the country was skyrocketing. And I personally find my dogs very healing in their energy, very grounding, which is what you need when the winds are coming at you from all directions, tossing you and turning you. There's also been a challenge for many about having to hold on to your sobriety. I don't drink alcohol mostly because I get a headache or I get acid reflux, but I'll have to tell you, I've been thinking about at the end of days now coming home and thinking about getting a drink. And I'm not against it morally or philosophically. I don't like it in my patients when I see it go overboard. But the idea that I've been pushed to that point, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is it's taken a lot of resilience, taken a lot of hanging on to the bare basics, holding tight when everything has been chaotic. And I was hoping that politically things would calm down. I'm not sure they have, but regardless, I just want to say this year of 2020 has been one for me of hunkering down, and probably for you too. Probably another thing that's been a challenge for you is how many of you have sat and made your whole day be about Zoom? Um, I have a job when I go to the clinic. I'm actually interacting with people. Granted, I have a mask on, my personal protective gear on. I have the anxiety of dealing with the patients in case one of them is one of those asymptomatic COVID carriers. How do I keep my staff safe? How do I make sure we're all safe? So that's anxiety, but I don't have to sit in front of Zoom. And that's got to be a challenge, especially for kids trying to get their schooling done when they don't have the interaction of their classmates. So today is about talking about where we've come from, how we've come through it, how we've adapted. And again, if you have anything you'd like to share, even if you want to hear me tell you, wow, you did a really good job, call us 1-800-930-2819. Or you can type in on Facebook, as we're running live on Facebook right now, and we will get your question or your comment. And I have Kellen and Benny with me today, and they will, and Livia in the background, and they'll pass that on to me. And I'd love to hear how you've managed. So let's talk, just stop for a minute. I said talk, but let's not talk. Let's be quiet for 1 minute and just recognize what a good job we've done. What a good job we've done getting through this. And we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I want to talk more about resilience, because that's the component, that's the characteristic that we have had to bring forward. It takes courage, it takes stamina, it takes endurance. But I think resilience and the toughness that that indicates is a big deal. And we should talk about how good we were at it this year. So let's just take a short break, come back and talk a little bit about resilience, and then move forward. So we'll be back in just a second. Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm Doc Martin, and you're listening to the Healing Hour. And I just want to remind you, if you care to share or ask a question, please call 1-800-930-2819 or type in on our Facebook comments. We're live on Facebook. And we're talking today about resilience and resolutions. And I really want to have us and focus on resilience, because we've done such a good job of that this year. And those of you who have listened to me before might know that I'm a physician, but I'm also an energy healer. So I want to talk about resilience in this next segment. And then I want to do some energetics and kind of lead you in a guided meditation to reflect on how your energy field maintained its resilience and to keep going, because we still have some ups and downs ahead. But resilience is tough, and resilience is renewable, and resilience recovers quickly. And resilience is everything we've had to dig in and pull out to get through so far in 2020, between financial, political, medical, as in the COVID virus. We've had to really deal with a lot of challenges. And I want to take these next few minutes for us to energetically tap in to the resilience that exists in our field and in our bodies, and fortify that and integrate that and really lock it in there to give us strength for whatever comes down our way in the future. So we're just going to stop now. For the talking will be me leading you. And Benny and Kellen, if we go a little over, we just take the next break late, doesn't matter. So if everybody wants to just take a minute, and please, if you're driving, don't do this. But let's just close our eyes and take some nice, deep, relaxing breaths. and kind of let the energies of the stress and everything leave us. Because right now, we're going to focus on resilience. And we're going to focus on the strength that our field, our body, our intellect, our psyche, how we had to pull that all together. And this is just a reflection and a meditation of congratulations, of recognition, of patting ourselves on the energetic back to say, what a nice job you did so far. Way to go. So just allow your mind's eye to travel deep inside your body, your energy field, anywhere it needs to go. And as you scan across your field and you find those places that were particularly strong, that really held the glue together, just if you bow, little bow of appreciation to those parts of you, a little bow of recognition, of gratitude. You did such a good job holding everything together. Maybe it got a little frayed. Maybe you kind of sparked out with some short circuiting, but you're still here and you're still going. Let's just recognize that. And let's just honor that. And just feeling that as you send gratitude, recognition, appreciation, love to those strong fortress pillars of power that held you together. And just flood your field with that appreciation and gratitude. We're coming up to holiday times, times when we can gather and recognize how the year went and recognize the changes that we've been through and honor them. We're also entering the quiet time of the 4 seasons, where we can go and do our little bit of energetic hibernation. So let's just smooth out our field right now. Smooth it out with gratitude and recognition. It's as if you're taking an energetic bow, bowing in deepest respect to those beautiful, strong parts of you. Just allow that to integrate for a moment. And now let's take a journey with our mind's eye and look at the places that struggled, the places that maybe didn't do such a good job, the places that got a little too frayed to hold it together. And let's use our power of our higher selves and our helpers to put some healing into those places. Again, with appreciation for the effort that they tried, even if we think they could have done better. Let's recognize them all the same. But finding those places perhaps where you cracked a little, places where you short-circuited a little. And let's just apply some of that higher source energy as a little repair glue, little super glue, a cooling salve, a healing balm. Let's just wipe those places where things are raw and apply the poultice of forgiveness, of appreciation, of love. We all have places where we think we didn't do well, or we think that we failed, or wished we could have done better. Let's just throw the salve and the bandages of this appreciation and love and healing power over those places. And rather than have disappointment or anger or irritation push them separate from the rest of our field, bring them in. Bring them in. Accept them back into the fold, however flawed part of you might think they are. Bring those pieces back in. These are pieces that tried their best to help you hold together. And it was a hard job. So healing, appreciation, and respect for the good effort. And let us apply this divine source of elevated vibrational energy. The Caro Indians in Peru call this Sami, S-A-M-I. Let's apply this Sami to elevate all those places that struggled and to seal in fortitude and rejuvenation, to bring back an even greater level of resilience. So looking through on your mind's eye, dusting all those raw places, helping them heal back up and help them restore to the full power that your entire field is capable of. And just let that flow over you. Feel that Sami of high vibrational energy coat you. And in doing so, you can feel the elevation. You can feel the stress leaving you. We're allowing the divine source to restore us and to rejuvenate us. All the while with the deepest, most fervent appreciation and recognition and love for our field, for this energetic configuration that each individual has, that rides forward each day into life. And one last minute, seeing the golden bubble around you as we restoring your field, shining it up, energizing it up, reconnecting all the pieces, healing all the raw areas, all the cracks. And as you look at yourself as a higher divine observer, just bow to yourself. You did such a good job. You were strong beyond belief, resilient beyond compare. You did it. You made it through one of the hardest times in any of our lives. You did a good job. Pat yourselves on the back. And as you gently come back to this time and this place, take a few moments to come back gently. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about moving forward with our new visions. So gently take your time, take a minute or two to bring yourself back, and we'll be back after the break. We're back, everybody. This is Doc Martin, and you're listening to the Healing Hour. So I asked Benny to cue up that, some of you are probably too young to remember, Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta and that song, Staying Alive. But I've thought about that a lot when I think, especially in this show, when we're talking about resilience and resolutions. And we did it. We stayed alive through this horrible, terrible year. And now the biggest part about being alive is actually having some forward motion. And so I want to shift to the second half of this episode to talk about, we had all the energy of being hunkered down and just trying to get through. But I've sensed energetically that we're at a place where we could break open into new ways of being and new ways of, even if they're little ways of living. And of course, New Year's is a perfect time to think about resolutions. And as I said, especially in the winter months when there's a kind of quiet, dormant times to think about. These are when the plants are quiet until the sprouts come in the spring. So what do you want to sprout? Let's start thinking forward. I wanted to congratulate us for what we've done, but let's now shift into opening up to bringing in something new or more of what you're already doing, and get our dreams back again. Get our capacity for creating our future back again. We spent so much energy just trying to get by. Let's go forward now. Let's look outward. And perhaps that really means looking deeper inside to find out what we want to bring forward in the world. So what are you going to create? What are you made to do in this lifetime and in this? And that can change as you go from month to month and year to year. But right now, what are you going to bring forward? What is a deep part of you that wants to be expressed? I know that for me over the past year, it was really hard to think of forward when all I could do was get by, going to work, taking care of people who were exposed to this virus and the chaos and their fear. But I finally started to feel like we have an opening, a break in the clouds, and I'm ready to start coming up with some resolutions. Resolutions in terms of intention, in terms of vision, in terms of what am I going to do more of? What am I going to create more of? How am I going to expand? Many of you have felt, as I have felt, very contracted in terms of we're just hunkered down. We are just getting by. But now we have, and again, I mentioned this conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. I believe it hasn't been here for several hundred years. I don't know. I confess I don't know a lot about it, but we're entering at the solstice, we're entering the age of Aquarius, new vision, unity consciousness, global thoughts, energy that is finally opening up and bringing us something forward to look at. So I want you guys to think about, what do you dream about? What would you really like to accomplish? What would you like to try, even if you're not great at it? Um, do you want to try some painting? Do you want to write something? Do you want to start um, having a home bakery? What is it that you want to do, and what would you like to bring forward? Now's the time to start daydreaming, and even dreaming more than just a daydream, and bring that forward, because those are the energies that we need right now to move our planetary evolution forward. The chaos is part of our evolution. Unfortunately, it's painful. But out of that chaos, we can create and bring forward new ways of being. And I think if we dream it, we can make it happen. So now's the time for us to think about our forward motion. What do we really want out there? What do we want to bring forward? One of the things that I've learned recently, and I'll just share this thought with you, I haven't quite figured it out, but one of my teachers, Dr. Patrice Fields, who's very powerful, energetic worker, and she said that we are moving away from looking at our lives as a karmic loop. I'm using my words, not hers, and living by archetypes. Are you seen as the healer? Are you seen mostly as the mother? Are you seen as the warrior? Those things are not really what's going to propel our energy field and our psyches along, but rather, are we in alignment? Are we in flow alignment with the life force? I want you to think about that for a minute, because that's kind of a big new thought. We are energetically in a big evolution. The galaxy, the planet, we as a species, the species around us. And right now we've got this churning energy of the death force, which is all around us, and churning energy of, at the same time, of the life force. So everything is topsy-turvy, and you could be on one roller coaster or the other, and you could be jumping between these things. But now the thoughts are that we should align our energy field, and therefore our dreams, our creations, with the life force. So are you in flow? And I've had to reflect on this a lot for myself. Every decision I make, if I'm going to choose an action, does it feel alive? Does it feel big? Does it feel joyful? That is flow alignment, getting in that beauty of being in sync with the life force. It's no longer about our duty, what we had to do, and what we think that we were put on the earth to create or finish a karmic loop. We're stepping beyond that. So this is about, am I in flow with the life force? And if it does not rejuvenate you, if it does not elevate you, then perhaps you ought to think about doing something differently. Are you instead responding to what I consider a push from behind, duty, what your parents expected of you, what your job expects of you, what you think you should do, what you think you were put on earth to complete this karmic loop? But we should be shifting now into, how do we step forward in everything that we create and have it be in flow alignment, alignment with the life force. Now be clear about that when you tell your energy fields to align, to be clear that you are aligning with the life force, because the whole craziness of the world, you could easily hook up with the death force right now. And I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but there are a lot of things, institutions, cultures, people, things that are fading away, things that will no longer exist. You don't want to join up with that unless you've decided it's your time, but it's a whole nother story. Instead, let's do alignment with the life force. And then all your decisions should come from that place of, does this promote life? Joyful inside of me? Does it make me feel alive? Does it add to forward motion of the world? And that is very different from doing it because we have a soul contract with somebody at work, so we have to put up with their craziness, or our parents always expected this of us, and after all, I'm the warrior or I'm the wounded healer, so I have to do it this way. Those rules aren't going to apply as we step into these new ways of being. So alignment with the flow alignment with the life force, then you can start to feel that your dreams are coming out from you. We're not spending a lot of time in headspace. We'll have a download of a wish that our soul or spirit sends to us, and we'll put it through and bring it forward because it feels good. And we're moving more, and this has been going on for a while, but getting more in the feeling. That makes me think of Abraham Hicks and aligning with things, but it's a feeling state. It's not a thinking state. And that energetic flow is a better way of moving forward into our evolution as a species. So reflect on that, especially because we have this powerful planetary conjunction coming up at the solstice. I think we can break into a new year in a new way, and hopefully we'll rise above some of these things that made 2020 so difficult. So think about that. And when we come back, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to remind you of some energetic tools that you can use to bring forward your dreams. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back. Be back in a sec. Hi, everybody. We're back. I'm Doc Martin. This is the Healing Hour. And we're just going to wrap up the talk today about our resilience and now our resolutions. And I want to give you some helpful hints on how to get back into dreaming your future, especially when a lot of us, our energy has all been about just making it through, trying to hold it together. But let's talk about how to get back to dreaming, how to get back to finding that visioning place that allows you to say, what if, or, ooh, maybe I'll do that, and not be limited. I, for one, have felt pretty contracted this year. So for me, I'm excited to try to get to a place where I can be bigger and expand and have ideas. And anyway, without being too manic, just get some new juices going. So I think there's some key points here. And one is I'd like you to remember that I'm going to be a broken record because I probably say this every single show. You've got to be in quiet time. And you've got to be in that place where you can hear the inner voice, whether you call it your soul, your guardian angel, the whispers of spirit. You've got to have the quiet to hear that, to hear those little trickles of possibility that says, ooh, maybe I could do that. For me, the best place to feel that quieting and that depth is going into nature. And at the break, I was talking to Kellen and Benny, you guys who live in the Seattle area, you have the most spectacular trees. I visited there once 2 years ago, and I was struck by the evergreens and the power that they have. And if you walk out, take a walk, and I'm sure within an hour's drive from Seattle, you can be in a forest or be on a trail. Those are beautiful places to have quiet energy, to sync up with the energetics of the earth, and to be in harmony. And in harmony is where you let yourself go into dream time. And you don't have to be asleep to have dream time, although dreams happen a lot in our sleep when we can get out of our human mind. But these are ways to get out of our human mind while we're still awake. And that means quiet, that jibber jabber, be somewhere peaceful. For me, nature works all the time. Kellen was also reminding me that you've got the Puget Sound and you've got Wales, and there's so many places that you can connect in and quiet your jibber jabber. And so that quieting is a key component for accessing the energetics of dreaming again. The other is shifting perspective. And this process of shifting perspective is how you deal with all kinds of challenges and for looking forward. So we look at everything that's right in front of us in the literal world. Oh my golly, my car has a flat tire. Oh gosh, I've got to pack the lunch before I go to work. Then we try to shift it. Well, what about this challenge? Can we see a spiritual answer here? So forcing yourself with the discipline to get out of, oh, this hurt, all of the literal world concerns, and get into the spiritual. And I don't know if you guys remember years ago when Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote the book, There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. That's a very good book, by the way. And once you shift it to the spiritual and you can see it differently, then you end up actually seeing possibilities that you didn't see before. It's as if you were in a room with 4 walls, all closed in. And then all of a sudden you shift your perspective and you can actually see where there's the place where you can push open the window. So changing over to the spiritual, and then you turn it over to the energetic. And that's when your soul is in charge, your soul and spirit. So turning that over allows the quieting of the human mind and allows that percolation of those rare things that you might not have thought were possible because you're so locked into your day-to-day human walk on the earth. And then the other things I think that are very powerful to do that is when you set aside time, and yes, quiet time, but actually making it a little bit more special. So making it a sacred place that you're about to enter into these thoughts. So however you want to claim a place, actually location, or claim a time, even if you're sitting at your desk at work, if you say, okay, I'm now going to designate this, boom, sacred time, just that changing the construct shifts the energy. So use sacred space, and that space could be time. You declare it sacred and allow yourself the freedom inside of it to let ideas percolate through. And the other thing that I really love is bringing in ritual. Now, for me, ritual does something that I'm sure it does for other people, but it gets me out of my head and it puts me into thinking about the steps of the ritual. And then that sort of allows the softening of other areas to come through. So for me, ritual is calling what I learned when I was a student in the 4 winds in the shamanic training. I call the directions. So I call the south, the west, the north, the east, Mother Earth below, Father Sky above. And just that repetition every time I'm about to enter sacred space by having this ritual. I also happen to have, anytime I'm sitting down to vision about something that I want, a deeper flow of spirit talking to me, I happen to have my medicine bear. He's a Zuni fetish bear that I've had for a long time, but I sit and I put my hand on him. Now, that for me is a little ritual. I do that, I put my hand on him. Create your own ritual that allows you to say, I am now entering. And it's a vibrational shift, because once you create that ritual, you've sort of started the vortex where you're in the space connecting to spirit. So center yourself. Use nature. Nature is so powerful. Use it as your ally. Use it to help you cultivate the space to find your dreams. Shift your perspective out of the literal into the spiritual and then to the energetic. And use sacred space and whatever ritual you want to use. Do you have a crystal? Do you want to sit with a flower? Do you want to focus on a photo of a lotus leaf and make yourself breathe several times? Whatever you choose to do. But that repetition and that setting the ritual will add to the power of your space, because you're also telling spirit, this is that special time. So let's move into 2021. Very appreciative of our resilience, and we're not going to give that up. We still have that. But stepping into our resolutions, which are our dreams, stepping in for forward action. I know you guys can do it. You've done it so far, so let's keep going. Let's dream our world into something we really want. Have happy holidays and a very good new year, and I'll see you in January. Thank you for being here.